of our customers that use it take it, they use it every day, day in and day out. It's an important part of their organization. So let me kind of run through that. I think this could add a lot of value to your organization. All right, so let's kind of, let me go back to that work order. So I'm going to toggle to Thursday. So here's that work order for Bank of America. I'm going to drill into that work order. So let's say I'm out here and I'm going to pretend I'm a technician. And let's say I find a bad compressor and the customer, says, hey, I need a quote before you can replace that. So how does a technician quickly identify the issue? So they can go right here and hit new quote. And this is going to ask them, hey, give me a title. So I'm going to say it's a compressor replacement. And their comments. So while found bad compressor. And then parts description. So what I always like, if I ever provide advice, I always say, hey, your technicians are probably, when they find an issue, they're probably kind of documenting the parts they need. And in some cases, they're probably calling the vendor to find out the pricing and availability. So I'm going to say, call carrier, model number 123 is in stock, and it's $500. So they can basically provide you with all the information, high level you need, or hopefully it's enough information so that your salesperson in the office can react and respond to that. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and, I don't need to do this, but I'll do this anyways. So who's it submitted by? So when I generate that quote, we can set up a process where we automatically send an email out to the salesperson in your office. So they know that Jay was here and we need to go ahead and fix that. So if I go to my quotes over here, let me just filter on these real quick. You can see that here's that work order, or that quote record, quote ID number 8. The status is new. So we can run our reports. So if we're slow, I can run a report that says, show me all the quotes we've sent to clients that they have not approved yet, to try to drum up some business when we're slow. Who's the site? I don't have any financial information in there yet. Jay is the employee that created the record. And then over here, we have the employee that prepared, who's the salesperson, but no salesperson has picked us up. So I'm going to switch hats here. I'm going to pretend I am now the salesperson in the office, and hey, I want to pick up that quote and go work on it. So I'm going to drill into that quote. All right, so I'm there. I can see some high-level properties here. But I want to go ahead and identify myself as the salesperson. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the drop-down here. Actually, you know what? Let me do somebody else so it looks better. Let's just say Greg is a salesperson, and it's in progress. So these are all the different statuses, kind of like a mini CRM system, so you can run reports based on the status. So show me all the ones that were rejected and why. And you can dump those reports to Excel. But I'm just going to go ahead with in progress. I want to pre-populate the equipment from the work order. So when we send this quote to the customer, we're going to clearly state it's for this carrier air conditioner. I'm just going to save that. All right. So next is labor. So I want to go ahead and add the hours. So I want to start to build my estimate, right, to get to that $5,000 quote. So I'm going to go ahead and edit labor here, and I'm going to put in my 20 hours of labor. And you can have different categories of labor if needed. But what's important here is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says service site bill rate is $125. So you do have the ability to predefine client billing rates. So every time we go to McDonald's, we charge this much. Every time we go to Walmart, it's $2 because they like to beat us up. So we have that flexibility. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and add some items here. I'm just going to use miscellaneous items to build my quote. But I want to show you the flexibility we have to mark it up. So let's say that compressor is $500. I actually have 3 separate ways that I can mark up from cost. I have the ability to use the predefined billing markup for that customer, which we call the rate sheet. And these can be pretty dynamic. You can say anything from $0 to $400 markup 80%. Anything from $400 to $500 markup 50%, and so on. I can override that, but I'm just going to let that ride. I'm going to do save and new because I need to add my R22 refrigerant, and we want 20 pounds of refrigerant. And that's like $9 a pound. But I want to override that. I want to sell that at $50 a pound. So I'm going to go sales price, and I'm going to key in the actual sales price. And then finally, you know, I need a crane because I need to get the material onto the roof. So I'm going to go ahead and add my crane. That's 500, but you know, I don't, oh, that's quantity, sorry. But you know what? I don't want to gouge this customer. I just want to only hit them with 15%. So I'm going to be nice. So I have, once again, I have my 3 items here. I have my labor, it goes on the separate tab here to build the estimate. Now I want to go ahead and add my notes. And we have a couple different types of notes, but and we can enable additional notes if needed, but we're just trying to keep this as simple as possible. You know, during the PM, we found is to this. You can also copy quotes, so if you do the same quotes over and over again, you can copy them and then to make your life simple. All right, so I updated that, so I have a note there. So that note, that scope of work, that is what is going to print out on the final proposal we send to the customer. So let's go ahead and finalize this. So I want to go ahead and review this. So here we have the ability as a salesperson to really dive into that estimate. I can make sure that we try to make it super simple and easy to read. We want to make sure we're not missing anything. It looks like we have a nice 53% margin. That's a home run. I wish we did it every day. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and, if I like the way it looks, I can send this. Okay, I got it. So I can go ahead and send this to the customer as an email if I want to. But, I skipped a step. First, you know, we try to keep the look and the feel consistent throughout the product. So here's another form or report. Before I show you the service report the customer signed, here's the quote report. Your logo's up here, customer information. Here's the actual asset that we're going to repair. And by default here, I'm showing $20 an hour, $125 an hour to get the $4,700. We have different templates. Some people don't want to show all that level of detail. So we can set that up so they don't see that level of detail. We can hide that manually or by default we can hide it. But I'll just go ahead and save it this way. Once you like the look and feel, we can save it as a PDF and email it through the system to the customer. And I'll show you what that PDF looks like under attachments here. I forgot to mention that the technician can also take photos and add a lot more information. I just showed you at a minimum of what we want the technician to provide when they're creating a quote. But you can have attachments here in the attachments section. If your vendor sent you a cut sheet, you can store it here. Any type of pertinent information around this quote can be stored here. So here's the quote. All right. There's what it looks like. All right, so let's say the customer calls back, right, a month later, and they want to move forward. What do? How do I generate a work order? So we go ahead and edit the property because I need to update it from in progress to approved. All right, so that's important because we use that for a lot of different reasons. We use it to run reports, things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and update the properties there. All right. So now that's approved, see where it says over here, under review complete, now I have the ability to create a new work order with the click of a button. And it pulls in all that information. And those work orders can be fixed price, so it's a $100,000 job, or it could be a T&M work order not to exceed. So any questions? I want to wrap it up here for any Q&A we may have, because I know there might be some more questions. But the intent here was to kind of introduce you to the product, provide you with a high-level overview. I think we touched on some of the enhancements that are coming out, what we call our 6.4 release over the next couple of weeks here. And if you guys do need, before I open up to Q&A, if we do have more questions, reach out to Carrie and his team. We can always do a more in-depth demo specifically to your actual company's workflow needs. But I'll open it up to questions here. Sure.
Can you just click on that so we can see how it generates the
Oh, all right. So if I generate a new work order, it's just going to ask me, it's going to pre-fill everything here, and I can go ahead and pick what type of work is it, and then I just hit the generate work order button. And if I do that, it's going to pull in all the notes and everything into a note on the work order, so you have all that visibility. Something.
Is this feature, I mean, can be restricted to certain uses? Not everybody can.
Oh, so let's kind of talk about, you know, how do we manage who has access to what? So I'm going to go back to my user here. So if I'm here, this is just an example, but this, so as you see where it says privileges, so who can generate a quote? Who can generate a purchase order? That's something else I didn't touch on today, but let's say, real quick, you have an employee that needs to go to Home Depot. They need to generate a PO. You can allow certain individuals to create their POs on the fly. Anybody else?
I have a question, when it's generating quotes, it picks the labor rates, right?
Yep.
So supposing I have, depending on the type of technician, I have different rates for electrician versus a
Okay.
tax. Can I have different rates?
Yeah, so good question. So the question was, let's say I have an electrician, a plumber, and a carpenter, and they each get billed out at different rates. So on the quote side of things, today we only support one default rate by customer. There is a way, we do have mechanisms though on the billing side to manage that.
Now, see a customer at McDonald's, and we bill one for head office, but each individual store or each franchisor has to be tracked. So do they each have to be set up as individual customer?
No, so there's this concept in both the 100 and 300 parts where you have the, we call it the accounts receivable customer, that's who sends you the check, right? McDonald's corporate. And then they could have 5,000 sites. And so each site is linked to that master account.
Does it work well with kids?
Oh, like kits, like assemblies?
Yeah.
Are you on 100 or 300 parts today? Okay, so I think that would probably be like, I think that works. Give me an example of kits.
Like each trough.
Okay, like an assembly, kind of like.
Yeah.
So yeah, so 100, the 100 product supports assemblies. That's built in the product. But that's more of a. There's a couple options there. Yes.
And things you buy, like buying kg and sell by the foot. So that
You can track unit and measure, I think. And then you can relieve inventory. I didn't get too detailed in the inventory, but
it has to all tie in with the inventory calendar.
yeah. So that's the beauty of this. So when I added 20 feet of wire, and I didn't do a kit, what we call an assembly. But when I take 20 feet of wire, we're actually relieving inventory and expensing it to the work order. Or if I wanted to get really complicated, we could actually take that, put it into WIP, and then not expense it until it was invoiced. So there's a lot, I don't want to get overly complex, but there's a lot of flexibility. Sure.
Yeah, you're saying before that right now it's a browser-based system, so it's not, doesn't have access outside of self-coverage.
Correct.
But, so, if I assign or change somebody's schedule, through the dispatching, how would they know unless they signed in, or is there any kind of
Sure. So
notification, push notification?
well, for all sides of cell phone coverage, you're not gonna be able to call them.
Within self.
Oh no, yeah. So we have email notification built into the software. So anytime you make a change, if you set it up that way,
Okay.
say every time we make a change, send this employee an email, letting them know what that change was.
Okay, so they pop that.
Yeah.
And I got one other question,
Sure.
which is, when you're doing the labor part of your quotation, I've got employee classifications within 4 different union locals. How would I be able to utilize that list to create a build-up on an estimate?
Sure. So that's I think it's similar. So you talk about the bill side, right? You bill the customer. Yes. Today, that's a good point. So
Not
just
just billing, but also tracking the cost.
yeah. So tracking the cost and the actual cost, we can do that. That's fine because that's all based on the employee. That's actual based on their setup and what they pick for the union or the pay rate. Or the
Yeah,
pay
but it may be that same employee is working in another local area, so that that employee
Yeah.
changes too. So there's some subtleties
Yeah.
there, but yeah.
So the cost side, we got that covered. On the bill side, we can there's a way to manage that. On the quote side, it's really the default billing rate, that $100. That's pretty much there's one rate per customer right now. When you generate the estimate as a default. Now there's other ways to get around that. I think with maybe you can set up some miscellaneous items with predefined rate we'd have to, that could be more like in-depth conversation to talk about the way. I don't know if that's on the enhancement list, but if you talk to Carrie, we can find out. Right. I hope I did not talk too fast, everyone. I try to, remind myself to slow down.
It's a good hand for you. Thank you very much, Shay. That was very, very educational. How many people in the room think something like this can affect their business positively? Show of hands. Very good. Well, we had a good feeling about it when we started. It's good to have validation from people who are listening. We often hear about the Excel hell. People are stuck in, managing the business through Excel spreadsheets and so on and so forth. This type of automation gives opportunity for what we call meaningful process reengineering. This product is highly intuitive. It's designed for you to pick it up very quickly. However, if you take what you do today and automate it and expect a different outcome by way of profitability, it doesn't happen. So if you want to engage in some type of meaningful process reengineering, our team works very closely with you. Jay is a great mentor to us. And our goal is to help you be more profitable and more efficient as you go down. So I'll end with that. Now, did we cover all the things that were on that list that we parked at the beginning as questions? Or are there any unanswered? If there are any, I would suggest that you find one of the people in red shirts, and we will make sure that you guys get the answer. To close this off, I want to thank Kathy Tadocchio from Sage, Jay Anarelli from Sage, for very informative presentation and helping us understand how we can improve ourselves. Great shout out and thank you to Tom Edison for traveling here from Ottawa and sharing how they've been able to leverage this technology to be very successful. Big shout out to entire Team Mantra. We've got Janice, we've got Jane, Elena, Matt, Luke, Jess, and myself. Takes a lot of work to organize these things, and thank you everybody for making this happen. Big shout out to Health and Garden Inn. They did a great job hosting us. Coffee kept us wired and sugared up to make sure the eyes stay open. And thank you to Century for the audiovisual piece. One person I want to give a shout out to who was the Atlas vertebra on which this head stands. That's Matt. He made this happen. He put it together. A lot of work, hours and hours and hours. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Oh, by the way, we were going to do a draw today for a free lunch, but I think everybody won. So lunch is served outside. Please make sure you grab a bite to eat before you go. Once again, thank you for taking the morning out and spending it with us. And if we can help you, please reach out to anybody in the registry. Thank you very much.
We also have Sage Service Operations up on tablet if anybody wants to look at it. Kind of a typical technician